because they have been doing in the medical field for quite some time. But yet, it is important for them, for the sake of equity in law, in the Constitution, that if the other people come out with a master's degree and have to gain 5,000 hours or 3,000 hours of experience, also nurse practitioners should have different levels like every other department to ensure equity and also to prepare them for the very risky job of giving somebody a chemical to take or a diagnosis that can change and transform the person's life. And then I'd say that I've also tested it, that our employment aptitude tests, none of them has been able to score 60%. The highest is 50% able to score for those that come out of college, which means that, and this our employment aptitude test is based on the practice. If we did not have people are brought out of retirement with long years of clinical practices in psychology and clinical psychology and clinical social work supporting our practice, we wouldn't be able to go far. So it's very important for Maryland to look into the authorities that they have granted to them. And it's not about nurse practitioners or against them, but it's to protect them, to put a clause in the 1027 that says you can only practice in the area of competence is not sufficient if they don't know what their competence levels are, because for them, they have passed the exam and they have the certificate, but that is not competence. So it's better to prepare them, and those who already been given the independent level should be put on education, continue the education, and continue the clinical internship and practice where they need to gain the experience. And they should be across the board in all the healthcare standard to keep up with their appearance, because keep up with appearance. I remember, I never seen the show, but I've heard there was a show called Keep Up the Appearance. The appearance of being able to practice independently, but lacks knowledge and understanding of what they are supposed to be doing. Book knowledge and preparing to pass exam is different from experience, and I don't want to spend too much time onto it. And another thing that is like that is a lot of medical records are in EHR. EHR system, of which everybody now is in EHR since COVID. But one element that people need to also consider for the governor, and I will put this up and write it up, and also with the law that need to be changed in order to make these corrections. And I will later on reach out to the governor and the General Assembly on this particular aspect, because it's very important. Where you have the law requires that medical records shall be protected, and there should be somebody assigned to manage, to catalog, to index for security and protection of medical record. And these things is easily done in the EHR, but a lot of people still maintain the physical file. So for those that maintain the physical file, as we are also now planning to switch to medical to the physical file, because if America goes to war, world war, what about the security and protection of these medical records? When we know there will be too much of cyber security attacks, is it going to shut down the hospital? Is it going to shut down the people, which means that even everything in the cloud? What about if there is a magnetic impulse attack where the cloud is no longer accessible? So for those in the risk and assessing the risk, we have looked at it, and I was surprised in one of our facility when they around 10 o'clock, and I saw the door that was designated for this particular purpose was wide open. The landlord was doing a maintenance, was saying, what if the medical record is in there sitting down in the cabinet or the desk, but the front door locked, and somebody goes in to open it without a notice, no reference? When landlords and cleaners, you have a lot of foreigners, and in a time of war, we don't know how many foreign agents are in our country, and they're going to access into documents and into offices where that we have national security documents. For example, those that is prohibited by the laws of our land not to be accessed by any other person. In the regulation of the building, when you talk about the top secrets, confidential, and the top secret and top secret classifications, and then with the cleaners and we are allowed to go in there, somebody pose as if they are cleaners just to go to look for information. We don't know, but so we need to start to put the law. So we also say that the states, our state in particular, and the country in general, need to put a law in the building code that we say that the landlord or property owners, even though they may have access into such a place in emergency and for inspection, that for them to know that where a tenant or the occupant have notified them of any room that is designated for safety and security and protection of such protected information should not be accessed without a notice to the tenant or the owner for the protection of our national security and medical record. So to have somebody walking in and out for any reason of getting access without notification is danger for us, danger for those healthcare facilities, and danger for those that work in the security clearance levels, and those that protect national assets, even for the company's trade secrets. There should be some protection for those national assets, those that the law have required that a provision shall be made, and somebody responsible for the security and protection of those assets and those properties and those records, whatever it is. No property owner